Welcome to episode 290 of the Working Fans Podcast, where today myself and the man called Dave have a lot to talk about in wrestling. But before we talk about wrestling, we are going to talk about Game Up Hard Hydration. It's like your favorite sports drink and your favorite seltzer teamed up with the help of 4.9 ABV and became such a bigger creation. Give them that rundown.
Oh, yeah. We're talking four great flavors, guys. Fruit punch, orange, lemon, lime, and grape. And don't forget, best part, only 110 calories, low carb.
Now, for the past, is it the past couple weeks now, Dave, that Raw and Smackdown have been broadcast from Europe? Have you been keeping up with the shows? How are the crowds? And what do you think overall of the ramp up to WrestleMania?
SmackDown had its second show in Europe. SmackDown technically hasn't live. Raw had its first live show in Europe, which they were on like 3 p.m. this week because maybe 3:30 because of Netflix. One of the cool things now is with Netflix, if they're live somewhere part of the world, they can be live anywhere right now. So it doesn't matter. You just watch it. If you want to watch it later, that's cool too. But yeah, I was done with Raw this week at like 6 p.m. I want to say because I had a little bit of delay. I started it, but I was like, this is kind of cool. Crowds have been great. It's tough to remember everything sometimes in a busy week. I will say the biggest thing coming out of these shows was John Cena finally getting to speak. And some of the criticism was that he had the same attire. He came out to the same music. But I thought John Cena explained it so well, as a heel, basically saying, look, I'm breaking up with you. This has been a toxic relationship. You have mistreated me for years and years, no matter what I did. And with John Cena, I think that's more true. We've heard this story before, but with John Cena, it feels more accurate. You feel like there's some truth to that for all the years he's been booed. But he said, I'm not changing a thing about me. He said, there's nothing wrong with me. I'm not going to change anything to please you. He said, this is my clothes. These are my words. And I thought his heel turn, the way he spoke, was just such a home run. And to what you asked, these crowds, I think it couldn't have gone better doing it in like these European crowds. Like they were in Belgium for that one. And wow, like they're so reactive to everything people do that I've enjoyed having the shows in the European crowds, and I think they're there again this week too.
Yeah, I haven't checked out the shows yet, but the crowd reactions, we've seen it like when they were in Puerto Rico. We've seen it on any of these pay-per-views that come from like European countries where they don't get WWE shows all the time. So when they do get a show, they are rabid for it. They really respond to it. And I love hearing that Cena promo because it feels like it's the realest thing that he could write, walk out there and say, because he has been a cornerstone of WWE for so long. And a lot of those smart fans have come down on him. And this was his chance to maybe, give a peek behind the curtain and actually say what he's thinking. So it's great to hear that. I heard Gunther and Axiom had a standout match as well.
It was last
I'm going to
night.
have to go back and watch these shows. It's been a very rough couple weeks. And, it's the one thing I haven't had time for, sadly.
Yeah. I would also say, too, some other good stuff to look forward to. Roman, Seth, and Punk got into it this past week on SmackDown, for the European crowds. It got physical. We're obviously setting up for a three-way at Mania with that. Naomi attacked Jade. So, that's some stuff that's heating up. We saw another Rey Fenix video. You can definitely tell this is Rey Fenix this time. They didn't say his name, but it's a silhouette. But it's such the body type, the mask, and everything. So,
yeah, and you talked about Cena turning heel, having the chance to talk to the crowd.
yeah.
You put up a great comparison this week, and it had me thinking, who was the better heel turn? Was it Hulk Hogan? Was it John Cena? In one way, it's very similar because these are guys that were baby faces. They were heels early in their career for such a short amount of time, but then they had such a big babyface run that a lot of people couldn't fathom them being heels. And we're hearing a lot now about, kids crying because of John Cena turning heel. And we were a little older when Hogan turned heel, but I remember feeling a little weird about it. Like, this is a guy that's been a hero for so long, and now he's doing the unheard. In your mind, what do you think is the better heel turn?
I got to go with Hogan and the NWO because I think it's just a different era. Like, I mean, look at those pictures there. Look at the trash, in the ring. That's a big thing right there. And I think overall, you're not going to have that same impact again, too. Like when you look at the impact that the Hogan era had, leading to the NWO, that's like one of the most, wild times in wrestling history, because WWE had to counteract with the Attitude Era. So I just don't think that there'll ever be another one like that. If you look at the comments when I put this short up, I don't know if anybody even picked the Cena heel turn. Maybe one. So I think that's how we all feel. But I will say this: one thing that I enjoyed, when I started thinking about these heel turns, I started trying to think about other big heel turns in wrestling. And for me, I think one that kind of goes under the radar is when Andre the Giant turned on Hogan, because Andre was a big baby face for so long. And then that led to WrestleMania 3. So in thinking about these two, I kind of realized Andre might be my third biggest heel turn of all time. So I really enjoyed the Cena heel turn. I don't think it's been done like this in a long, long time, but I do have to give the nod to the Hogan heel turn overall for impact.
Yeah, the Hogan heel turn was like a second wind in his career. It gave
Yes.
him that much more longevity. It was part of something that changed the game, but kind of in vain with what you were talking about with Andre the Giant. Do you think we are a little too old to really feel this Cena heel turn? Do you think maybe if we were, kids,
Yeah.
maybe college right now, we would feel a different way about this? And what's different about the Cena heel turn as well is it's coming at the end of his career. I
Right.
don't see this giving him like a whole nother leg.
No.
And do
Which
you
is
think
why,
age has something to do with it?
yeah, I think again, to your credit and your point, making that point how it gave Hogan his second wind. Yes, I was thinking that when you said that, like we're not going to get that with Cena because it's the end of his career. That's the whole thing. So I think that's why creatively it's a lot of fun what he's doing this now towards the end when it should all be like this feel good moment. He's pulling out all the stops and doing something like this. But no, I mean, he won't get a second wind out of this. And is it the age thing? I'm going to say I still think Hogan is the bigger heel turn, but I will say that you make an interesting point. If we were younger, obviously those kids in the crowd, they're probably going to be affected by this more than we are, for sure.
Definitely. Now we're going from heel turns to possible face turns. Dave, I'm going to ask you again. Did you watch week 3 of Evolve?
Well, to paraphrase my man John Cena, I can't see it. I ain't watching it, brother. I haven't watched it. No. Did you watch
I checked it out.
My man.
And I'm going to say I really want to like it. I'm going to reiterate some things I said last week. This really feels like NXT's developmental. This feels like where you're going to see the next big stars. This is that bridge to the independents. They are really trying with this show, but it's not great.
Yeah.
And it's tough because I like watching it. Even though it sucks, I like watching it because I like seeing that next level. But some of these matches, it's like where NXT used to get hit about some of these people don't belong on TV. And like some of these matches aren't great. Some of the outside of the ring stuff isn't great. There are some standouts. I do like seeing some of those lesser used NXT stars coming down. I mean, I hope they keep Evolve on Tubi because I think it definitely has a place in wrestling. But I mean, this almost has me wanting to check out AEW
I
because this is just like such a hard show to slog through sometimes
Yeah.
that, and I want to stay aware of those next stars, but it's just a hard watch.
Yeah, I just think that there's a reason probably why this is on Tubi. They're getting content out there, but at the end of the day, I think this is for. Look, I think WWE is probably the hottest promotion right now, but I love all wrestling. That being said, this is probably for your biggest diehard, only WWE fans who watch just WWE and they want to know every single thing about WWE, and that's not me. As much as I like the promotion right now, and I'm really happy. Like, you can't give me something that I don't want to watch. Expect me to watch it. And the same with AEW. I was thinking about this the other day. Like, I don't know why it crossed my mind, but I was thinking about Rampage, and I was like, I don't know if I've ever felt this way about a wrestling show before, but I'm like, I'm glad that's not on anymore because I felt always pressured to watch it. And I'm like, I'm glad there's one less hour of wrestling on there right now. And I can't wait for SmackDown to go back to 2 hours. I like SmackDown, but like, man, just go back to 2 hours. I like it when you finish at 10.
It's funny the way you talk about Rampage is the way I kind of feel about this. Like, I feel like I have to watch this show because I want to like it. I want to tune in that 1 week and just see, the stars that I want to see.
Yeah.
See good matches. And I have all the hopes in the world for this, but it hasn't hit yet.
That's how I felt about LFG, but I couldn't stick it out. Like, in the end, it was a little too reality based for me, and not reality based like in a good way. Like, reality, it's kind of fun. I consider reality TV some of the most scripted, forced nonsense when I watch shows like that, and it's just got too much of that vibe. There's stuff I liked about LFG. There's stuff I liked about LFG, and there's stuff that was good about it. And I liked, like, Evander Holyfield's son was one of the competitors on there. So there's stuff that I could relate to, and my love of boxing, and I found it interesting. But at the end of the day, there just wasn't enough to keep me coming week after week.
Yeah, I wanted to check out LFG. I'm not a huge fan of reality TV. We've talked about it.
Yeah.
And it's funny that you could bring that kind of scripted TV to wrestling, and it's almost like the double negative that ruins it.
Yeah.
And this is a little off topic after talking about Evolve, but you brought up Evander Holyfield's son. You're going to talk about it on the Combat Cast, but George Foreman died this week. Did he have any WWE, WWF crossover? I can't remember.
Well, wrestling crossover for sure immediately jumps to mind because he was involved at Bash at the Beach, where Hogan came in and won the WCW World Title from Flair. He was in part of the previews for that. He did some interviews and stuff with Hogan, and he was involved in that. I want to say George has been on WWE TV before, maybe in the audience, but he was a wrestling fan. Like, he enjoyed, I think the aspects of the showmanship of pro wrestling.
Yeah, one of the more iconic boxers I think of all time. You would figure he would have some kind of crossover with wrestling. And if you want to talk about enjoying wrestling, great crossovers in wrestling, I took some time out this morning to watch night 2 of Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling Mayhem. I made it to where there's like an hour 18 left in the show.
Okay.
And night 1 was good, but night 2 came out of the gate hot. You had QT Marshall, Blake Christian, and Sheldon Jean taking on Bhupinder Gujar, El Reverso, and Psycho Mike. Great 6-man tag to kick off the show. QT Marshall is a great heel outside of AEW, followed up by Kylie Ray and Taylor Rising. What's funny about Taylor Rising is she utilizes the pedigree And that's
Yeah.
funny because her name almost a take on the old Triple H name,
Yeah.
terrorizing. The match that I was most looking forward to did not let down. Kaito Kiyomiya versus Stu Grayson versus Alex Zane versus Ishimori. Mr. Check Your DMs won with the taco driver. That's Alex Zane for all y'all that don't know. Giselle Shaw and Serena Deeb. Serena
Yes.
Deeb is vastly underutilized in AEW.
I saw that match. I actually made it a point to watch that match, by the way, because I told you I hadn't seen the show. I saw that match. That match was great.
And then the finals for that women's championship are set. It's going to be Kylie Ray versus Giselle Shaw.
Yes.
I don't think it's going to be any surprise that Giselle Shaw is probably going to win that.
I would think so, given her relationship with Scott D'Amore. She's probably the favorite. I just want to say one thing. As like I said, I did watch that match. I liked the end of that after Giselle Shaw had this like really competitive match with Deeb. Kylie Ray comes out and Shaw ends up attacking her, and they really set Shaw as the heel going into this. And I think that was probably the best way to do it because Kylie's a very lovable babyface.
100%. In the match that I left off during was PCO versus Michael Allen Richard Clark
Yes.
in a street fight. This is where the show dipped for me because maybe it's how if it's a good hardcore match, I'm into it, but I wasn't aware of the story coming into this. It's a good match. I'm not saying anything bad about it. It didn't keep my attention, and I had certain things to get ready for the broadcast, but so far, Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling Mayhem Night 2, amazing. I'm looking forward to their next show.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they're doing some kind of gauntlet or something for their gold with the men too. I don't know if they're going to crown a Canadian champion or something, but they have 20 competitors, and they were showing some of the potential stars are in it, and one of them was Baron Corbin, now Bishop Dyer.
Yeah, Bishop Dyer.
Yeah. So he'll be one of them on there, and he wrestled on night 2 as well. Him and Billy Gunn, I believe, were taking on Latimer and Cardona. So good to see Bishop Dyer, former Baron Corbin, with this promotion and a different look. I think it'd be interesting to see him in Maple Leaf Pro. Good to see Cardona always too.
Yeah, they feature a lot of good talent you wouldn't always see, like in a lot of promotions. And you had another great comparison this week.
Yeah.
Steiner Brothers versus Edge and Christian. Who's the better tag team?
Right.
And
so funny. I always talk about the Steiner Brothers are my favorite tag team and how great I think they are. But Edge and Christian are my favorite kind of attitude era tag team, I guess you could say. Like when you look at those matches with the Hardys and the Dudleys, and everybody loved the Hardys and Dudleys, I was an Edge and Christian guy. There was something about Edge and Christian and the promos they would cut, the 7-second pose, and all the shenanigans. I really thought it kind of set them apart. They weren't just all high flying moves. Edge, was already doing that spear once in a while back then and had a few different moves. So I just liked the dynamic of them. And they ended up winning, I think they won all 3 of the original TLC matches too. Like they would always find a way to be on top. And yeah, I'm a big fan of these guys a lot. I would have loved to have seen this match, but at the end of the day, I mean, the Steiner brothers, I say it all the time. Like it's just like Scotty Steiner with that suplex into a pile driver, the fall away slam where he flips over, the Frankensteiner, Rick Steiner, who we don't talk enough about sometimes, with that bulldog off the top rope, or going back to Scott again, where he would DDT an opponent off of Rick's shoulders on the top rope. Like there's so many great moves these guys would do. They were so innovative. I don't know if I ever pick against the Steiner brothers. I'm going to go to Steiner brothers, Rick and Scott.
See, it's funny because right when you started talking about Edge and Christian, I was about to ask, is this going to be another age thing where we're just going to pick the Steiner brothers just because they were peer favorites? But you made a big case for Edge and Christian. They were big, really, in a time that I hadn't been watching as much. So for me, it's just going to be Steiner brothers. I've gone back and seen the matches. They're good.
Oh
But
yeah.
I mean, just Rick and Scott in the ring, they almost felt like a modern day LOD.
Yeah.
And I find it hard to pick against the Steiner brothers.
Edge and Christian were great in that that crash course, just
Style of
throw
wrestling.
everything. Yeah, just throw everything at the wall, wild, wild. Like that's the stuff that TLC has. Those are like the standard for what started it all with the Hardys, the Dudleys, and Edge and Christian. But the Steiner brothers, to me, were just one of the most realistic in a good way, no nonsense teams. And yeah, it's hard to go against the Steiner brothers for me.
Yeah, Edge and Christian went so hard. Edge, had years taken off his career, and that's why it's wild to see him back. And it's good to see both of these guys in AEW right now doing it. And Steiner Brothers, one of the best ever.
Yeah. Okay.
Speaking of one of the best ever, one of the best TV shows, one of the best wrestling shows is returning this week. Dark Side of the Ring. They're starting with Mick Foley. I am excited for this. Anytime there's a new season of Dark Side of the Ring, I love watching week to week, seeing the different stories. They have a really good lineup this year. I know we previewed it a while ago, but what stories, now that we're on the edge of it coming out, what stories are you most excited to see?
Gosh, I'm trying to remember. What are some of the episodes that are coming out now?
Well, you're starting with Mankind. You got Eddie Gilbert in there.
Eddie Gilbert. That's a great one. Yeah. God, you hit that right out of the head. Is this going to be about Mankind? Or is this about Hell in a Cell?
This is about Hell in a Cell, but I think it's kind of featuring on Mick Foley's, rush to do bigger things, how it affected him and his family.
Okay. I have the list of them in front of me too for the ones. So just Hell in a Cell, I'm sure will be good, but like I'm looking forward to
Hell in a Cell is almost like Montreal Screwjob right now, where it's like I feel like we've seen all angles of it. It'll be interesting to hear a dark side about it, but I don't think there's going to be anything groundbreaking that we haven't heard.
I like
already.
all of these. Like I'll tell you right now, Vader will be fun because I like Vader.
Yeah.
Tony Atlas will be fun because it's Tony Atlas. He's just going to be great. But then you're going to have
if you get into his story, Tony Atlas has a wild story, and it's going to be interesting to hear more about him. He was featured in the Brad Baluchian book Six Pack, and just hearing about him, awesome story.
But there's going to be some interesting episodes that are going to get dark, and I feel like the next episodes after that, like listen, Ludwig Borga, that's going to be a dark episode.
From what I've heard, it's his story after wrestling that makes the Ludwig Borga episode so wild.
And Billy Jack Haynes, I feel like that's a similar thing, almost like his craziness after wrestling.
And that was one where he got a hold. I don't know if you listened to one of the creators from Dark Side of the Ring talk with John Pollock about this, but Billy Jack Haynes, I think that was like a jailhouse interview for them because he reached out to them wanting to do a dark side on his story. So obviously there's going to be some things he can't talk about, but it's going to be very interesting to see how that episode is handled.
Just looking again here, Hot Stuff Eddie Gilbert, you already brought up. Like, I'm very interested to see the people talking on that episode. Superstar Billy Graham. By the way, off subject, I been thinking about you the other day. I watched some old All-Star Wrestling from I want to say 75 or whatever. And Superstar Billy Graham came out there, talking to Vince McMahon Jr., very young, saying, "Are you not excited right now? Do you not have tingling in your spine?" And I just thought, I was like, this guy's ahead of his time. And so it'd be interesting to hear and see his, Daphne is going to be a very sad one, I'm sure. The original Sheik, I'll probably enjoy. Like, I think he's got to have a lot of cool stories. And then one that'll probably be interesting. And I'm kind of curious, and I'm surprised it looks like it's still going to be the one closing, but Muhammad Hassan.
I forget what order they're going in, but yeah, Muhammad Hassan's going to be interesting because I think Sheik is like the second episode, if I heard correctly.
Okay. Well, this might not
It's
be
worth
proper
checking
order.
out the John Pollock interview with Evan Husney, but like, yeah, I feel like there's almost no episodes that are misses in this. If anything, maybe Billy Jack Haynes a little bit. I know he's pretty crazy, but like
Yeah.
that's the one I'm interested in maybe the least. I think Billy Graham's going to be interesting because of the place that he had in wrestling history as time goes on. He's talked about less and less. Could it be because Hogan, Jesse Ventura supposedly bit some of his style? But I think they have a
Yeah.
great lineup of stories, and I watch Evolve week to week, so you know I'm a hardcore, so I will be into all of these, especially being excited for Eddie Gilbert.
Watch this evolve. This man's been through it all.
Mm. And man, if you're excited for Dark Side of the Ring and Eddie Gilbert, you got to be excited for Game Up Hard Hydration.
If you haven't tried Game Up, then you are missing out. Imagine your favorite seltzer and your favorite sports drink had a baby, but it's way better than that. Each can is 110 calories, low carb, 4.9 ABV. It's a nice light drink that is not light on flavor. Game Up comes in fruit punch, orange, lemon, lime, and grape. Pick it up at drinkgameup.com or at your nearest liquor store.
All you goddamn wrestling fans out there, listen, Old Black Bart has got a book. It's called Wrestle Black Bart. It's got some dadgum good stories in there about some dadgum good wrestlers.
Read stories of Dusty Rhodes, the Von Erich, Scott Casey, Sergeant Slaughter, Roddy Piper, Mr. Fuji, Ron Bass, Bruiser Brody, Mike Davis, the Grappler, and many others.
And I guarantee you one thing, that it'll be the best dadgum read you've had in a long, long time.
Get your book today at Russellville.com or on Amazon. Russellville, it's where wrestling lives.
Author Ray Lopez presents Lockup, Professional Wrestling in Our World. Lockup dives headfirst into the colorful world of professional wrestling. Explore the iconic characters, careers, matches, history, and families, and delve into the bizarre and fascinating entwining of professional wrestling and film, television, football, politics, gender, and race. Pre-orders are available now on Amazon.com or at MascotBooks.com. This is the perfect gift for the wrestling fan in your life. Pick up a copy today on Amazon.com or at MascotBooks.com.
Hey fans, it's the man they call Dave with producer Joe, and you probably know us as the commentary team for New Heights Pro Wrestling, but when we're not doing that, we got a podcast.
That is the Working Fans Podcast, where we talk pro wrestling, comedy, MMA, and so much more.
And tell them about that signature segment.
Oh, you talk about the 531?
You know I am.
That is a homegrown creation that has been our namesake. And if you want to know our namesake, we got Chevy, AJ Strange Brew, as well as the two of us.
And why don't you go to our channel, like, subscribe, show us some love.
Rate, review, all of it.
Read about the Northern Wrestling Federation in the book presented by Russellville.com, The Pro Wrestling Vault, Volume 2. Hear the story of Roger Ruffin, the man who trained Carl Anderson, the Monster Abyss, Jordan Clearwater, Chris Harrison, Jillian Hall.
Plus 45 other short stories, including Jazz, Bobby Eaton, Kamala, Thunder Rosa, Mario Mancini, Scott Casey, PJ Black, Kerry Morton, Sal Renaro, Jeremiah Plunkett, Colby Carino, Bam Bam Malone, and many others.
Get your book today at Russellville.com. Russellville, it's where wrestling